I closed a chapter in my life thinking it was growth. Looking back now, I think it was just running from something unfinished. I met Sophie in a dusty little cafe in Marseille. I was 29, there for work, logistics stuff that doesn't matter now. She was behind the counter, apron tied like she didn't care much, hair pulled up, earbuds in. The kind of girl who gave off a 1,000-yard stare even when she smiled. I ordered a coffee. She got it wrong. We talked anyway. She came from a mess. I figured that out fast. No dad in the picture. Mom drunk or missing most of the time. Older brother in and out of trouble. She'd couch hop through half of France by then. Worked odd jobs, never stayed long. Had this chip toughness like someone who's been knocked down so many times they just stop bracing for it. We started seeing each other. Nothing dramatic. Walks by the water. Late night talks about nothing. She wasn't sweet. She wasn't warm. But she had this way of making you feel like you were the only thing holding her together, and maybe that's what got me. I extended my trip by a few weeks. Then another month. Before I knew it, I was asking if she wanted to come back with me to the States. I remember her face when I said it. Not surprised. Not touched. Just quiet. Like she'd been waiting for someone to offer and figured nobody ever would. So she came with me. Ohio. Small house. Cold winters. Nothing fancy. But I gave her a warm bed, a stocked fridge, a place to be soft for once. I paid for her classes at the community college. Helped her get her license. Told her this was a fresh start, that I loved her. For a while, it worked. She'd leave notes for me in the morning, little scribbles on the counter. She'd make dinner sometimes, just random things she found online. She talked about maybe becoming a nurse. Said she liked the idea of taking care of people. We had movie nights. Grocery runs. Sunday mornings wrapped in blankets on the porch. It felt like a life. A real one. I never pushed her to open up about her past. Figured it'd come when she was ready. Sometimes she'd say something, usually in bed, half asleep. A story about her mom locking her out. About her brother getting arrested. About hitching a ride with some guy she barely knew just to get out of town. I held her through all of it. But slowly something started to shift. She stayed out later. Got quieter. Her phone was always turned over. I told myself I was being paranoid. That she'd been through hell and maybe she just needed time. Trust doesn't grow fast in someone like that. Then one night, she didn't come home at all. No call. No message. Just gone. I waited until morning, stomach in knots, heart pounding every time headlights swept across the wall. At 6 a.m. she walked in like nothing had happened. Said she'd crashed at a friend's. Forgot to text. No big deal. I believed her. Because I wanted to. A week later, she left for good. No note. No suitcase. Just the keys on the counter and half her stuff gone. I tried calling. Messaging. Nothing. It hit me like a truck. The silence, the cold. I kept looking at the spot where her shoes used to be, her coffee mug in the sink, the imprint in the mattress where she curled up. I spiraled for a long time. Couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. Work didn't matter. Nothing did. I loved her. Or at least, I loved the version of her I thought I saved. Turns out you can't save someone who doesn't want saving. Months passed. Seasons changed. I got thinner. Quieter. Some friends reached out. I pushed them away. I wasn't good company. I wasn't much of anything. Then one day, I was sitting on a park bench, feeding pieces of bagel to ducks when someone sat down beside me. She had this worn denim jacket and headphones tangled in her fingers. Looked about my age, maybe a little younger. She glanced over and said, "Hope you're not hogging all the ducks." I laughed. First time in weeks. Her name was Claire. And that's when everything started to change. Claire wasn't flashy. She wasn't trying to be anything. That's probably what got me. We sat on that bench for a while, just making small talk. Turns out she was a freelance illustrator, lived a few blocks away. Said she came to the park when she was stuck on a project or needed to remind herself the world still existed. I didn't tell her much that first day. Just that I worked in logistics. That I'd lived here a while. She didn't ask for more. Before she left, she pulled a scrap of paper out of her bag and scribbled her number. "If you ever need help finishing a bagel," she said. I smiled, shoved the number in my pocket, and didn't call for a week. That whole week, I just kept thinking about how easy it felt. Talking. Laughing. I hadn't done either in months. Maybe longer. I finally texted her. "Hey, it's Steve. Still got half a bagel left." She replied, "I'm on my way." We met again at the same bench. Then again the next week. Then coffee shops, bookstores, once even a weird local art gallery she dragged me to. We weren't dating. Not then. Just two people orbiting each other. But something about her steadiness, her calm, it made space in me I didn't know I had left. I told her about Sophie eventually. Not all at once. Just pieces. She didn't flinch. Didn't give advice. Just listened. That sounds like it hurt, she said once, and that was enough. She didn't try to fix me. She didn't say stupid things like, everything happens for a reason. She just showed up. One night, we were walking through a neighborhood with those old street lamps that flicker for no reason. She stopped in front of a tiny house with chipped paint and said, "This one's my favorite. Feels like somebody loved it once." I said, "You always find the broken stuff beautiful?" She looked at me for a second like she was deciding something. Sometimes it's the only stuff that feels real. I don't know what it was about that moment. Maybe the way the light hit her face, maybe the way the words sat heavy in the air. But I felt something shift again. Like my ribs weren't holding something back anymore. After that, we started seeing each other more. We'd make dinner. Go for drives. Sit in silence and not feel weird about it. I started sleeping better. Eating again. She painted me once. Didn't tell me. Just showed me the sketch one evening. Said it was from memory. It was me on the bench. Feeding ducks. Sad eyes. "You looked like someone trying to disappear," she said. I nodded. Was. She folded the sketch and handed it to me. "Keep it. In case you forget where you started." By then, I think I knew I was falling for her. Slowly. Carefully. Not like before. Not like Sophie. But I didn't say anything. Not yet. I was still scared. Still wrecked. Still not sure if I had anything left worth giving. Then one morning, she called out of nowhere. Said her power had gone out during a storm and she couldn't get the door to close all the way. Asked if I could come over. I did. Fixed the door in 10 minutes. She made us eggs and toast and we ate it by candlelight like it was normal. And for the first time in years, I thought, maybe I wasn't completely broken after all. The first time Claire stayed over, I didn't sleep much. Not because anything happened, it didn't. She just curled up on the couch with a blanket, drifted off while we were watching some documentary about mountain climbers. I sat in the armchair, watching her sleep like an idiot, trying to figure out how this quiet, steady woman had walked into my life and made it feel less like a wreck. In the morning, she made coffee without asking where anything was. Like she'd always known. That scared me more than I expected. After Sophie left, I built this weird little life out of guilt and routines. Same grocery store. Same work hours. Same frozen dinners. I made it small on purpose. Predictable. Nothing left to lose. Claire didn't try to blow it up. She just fit into it without forcing anything. But something in me kept waiting for the floor to drop. It's funny how your brain turns kindness into a threat when you're used to pain. One night, we were lying on the floor, half drunk, listening to old records she brought over. Some jazz album I couldn't pronounce. She asked me, out of nowhere, what I thought would have happened if Sophie hadn't left. I didn't answer right away. Just stared at the ceiling. "I think I would have stayed," I said. "Even if I knew it was dying. I would have just stayed." "Why?" "Because I thought love was supposed to be hard." Claire didn't respond. Just reached over and held my hand. That's when I realized I was waiting for her to hurt me. Not because she would, but because that's all I knew how to expect. I hadn't talked to Sophie in nearly a year. She'd gone quiet after she left. No texts. No explanation. Just disappeared. Part of me had waited for the door to knock. For the apology. For some closure. But it never came. Claire never asked me to delete the pictures. Never pushed me to prove I was over her. She knew better than to rush grief. "You don't bury love," she said once. "You just learn how to live beside it." It stuck. Still does. One weekend, we took a trip out of town. Just a cabin 2 hours away. Rained the whole time. Played board games. Burned breakfast. Fell asleep tangled in blankets, no alarm, no plans. I caught myself laughing, full-on belly laugh, the kind I hadn't heard in my own voice in years. And it hit me. I wasn't waiting for Sophie anymore. I wasn't keeping a space open for her. I was here. With Claire. In this moment. In this life. That night, after dinner, Claire said, "You're not the same man who sat on that park bench." "I'm not." "No." He was trying to disappear. "And now?" "Now," she said, "you're learning how to stay." She kissed me. Slow. Certain. That's when I knew I had to tell her the truth. All of it. Not just about Sophie. But what I'd done to myself. The lies I believed. The guilt I wore like a coat. The way I stopped recognizing the man in the mirror. So I did. I told her everything. And she didn't flinch. Didn't leave. She just held my face in her hands and said, "You're still here. That's what matters." You ever think about the moment that broke you? Not the obvious one. Not the screaming match or the slammed door. The quiet one. The one where your eyes opened just a little too wide and you couldn't unsee what was already there. For me, it was when I stood in our old kitchen and realized Sophie never unpacked her last box. She'd been living with me for months. We shared a bed, a fridge, a mailbox. But that box, half full of scarves, notebooks, some old photo booth strips, just sat there in the hallway closet, sealed. Like she always knew she'd leave. Claire and I never had that box. But I did have one foot still in the past. And it showed. One night, we were supposed to meet at her place. She made dinner. Lit candles. Real effort. And I was 20 minutes late. No reason. Just sat in my car outside for a while, panicking for no good reason. It wasn't fear of Claire. It was the fear that she might be too good and I'd ruin it anyway. When I finally walked in, I lied. Said I got held up at work. She didn't call me on it. Just smiled and warmed up the food. But later, while we were brushing our teeth side by side, she said, "You don't have to be perfect, Steve. Just honest." I stood there, foam in my mouth, staring at myself in the mirror like I'd just seen a ghost. Because honesty wasn't something I practiced much anymore. After Sophie, I convinced myself I needed to earn love by overcompensating. Be the fixer. The giver. The guy who never says no. But with Claire, there wasn't anything to fix. She just wanted me. Not the version I built to survive. That scared the hell out of me. It got worse before it got better. I had a dream one night. Sophie was standing at my old front door, crying. Said she made a mistake. Said she missed me. In the dream, I let her in. And when I woke up, I was angry. At myself. At her. At the stupid way memory has claws even after the wound is closed. Claire noticed something was off. "Want to talk about it?" she asked. I almost said no. But I didn't. I told her about the dream. About the way it messed with me. About how I hated that it still had power over me. She didn't get jealous. Didn't pout. She just said it's not about her. It's about what she took from you. And damn if that didn't stop me cold. She was right. Sophie wasn't the villain. Not really. She was broken, same as me. She just broke me in the process of trying to escape her own mess. But I let her. I let her shape the way I saw myself. Like I was only worth something if I saved someone. Like my love was only valuable if it healed somebody else. Claire didn't need saving. She needed showing up. So I started doing that. Calling when I said I would. Showing up on time. Saying what I meant even when it was uncomfortable. One morning I made coffee and left it by her side of the bed while she was still asleep. Just a small thing. But she told me later it was the moment she knew I was staying. Not physically, she said. Your heart. It stopped hovering by the exit. That one landed hard. I started leaving a toothbrush at her place. A spare hoodie. She didn't ask. I just did it. Because I wanted to. The past didn't go away. It never does. But it stopped leading the conversation. And I realized something. Sophie was a story I kept rereading, hoping for a different ending. But Claire was the blank page I'd been afraid to write on. I used to think starting over meant wiping the slate clean. Burn the past, forget the mistakes, pretend they never happened. Turns out, starting over means carrying what's left and figuring out how to live with it. Claire and I weren't perfect. Some days I'd get quiet. She'd give me space. Other days I'd say something too sharp and she'd call me on it. But we were real. And that was new for me. We took a road trip once, nothing major, just a weekend out to Michigan, some lake with a name I can't spell. She drove the first leg, windows down, her playlist rolling through every genre under the sun. We stopped at a diner for lunch, ordered pie before the main course. No phones. No distractions. Halfway through the meal, she looked at me and said, "You seem lighter." I shrugged. "Pie helps." She shook her head, smiled. "No. Like you finally put something down." She wasn't wrong. I'd carried Sophie like a ghost. Not the woman herself, but what she represented. My failure. My blind spots. My need to be needed. But somewhere between the late-night talks, the dumb in-jokes, and the silence that didn't feel heavy, I stopped comparing everything to her. I stopped waiting to be left. Claire didn't make promises. She made breakfasts. She showed up. She forgave. She didn't expect me to be whole, just honest. And that's what cracked me open. One night, I told her everything I never said out loud. How ashamed I felt after Sophie. How long I waited for some sign it wasn't my fault. How I still flinched when I heard certain songs. I thought it would scare her off. Instead, she leaned in, forehead to mine, and said, "You're not broken. You're just bruised. There's a difference." I didn't cry. Not then. But later that night, I sat in her kitchen while she slept, holding a mug of cold coffee, and I let it happen. All of it. Not loud. Not messy. Just quiet tears for the years I spent pretending I was fine. In the morning, she didn't mention it. Just handed me a piece of toast and kissed the top of my head. We didn't need to say anything. She knew. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel ashamed of needing someone. I felt human. I didn't propose. There wasn't a grand gesture. No ring hidden in a dessert or a flash mob in a park. That's not how Claire and I did things. It just happened. One Sunday morning, we were folding laundry, quiet, half-distracted, coffee mugs on the floor beside us. I looked at her across the pile of towels and said, "You ever think about living together?" She didn't look up. Just said, "I already do." That was it. She moved in slowly. One drawer, then another. A plant showed up in the bathroom. Her books filled the shelves. My place became ours, and it didn't feel like I was losing space, it felt like I was finally using it. My old apartment, the one I rented after Sophie left, felt like a waiting room. This place, with Claire, felt like home. We painted the walls. Argued over curtains. Got a dog that chewed the legs off the kitchen table. I bought a toolbox and used it for more than one thing. She taught me how to slow down. I taught her how to check tire pressure. It worked. Every now and then, I'd still think about Sophie. Not in the longing way. More like passing a house you used to live in. Familiar, but no desire to go inside. One night, I got a message. Unknown number. Just one line, "I'm sorry." No name. But I knew who it was. I didn't reply. Not because I hated her. Because there was nothing left to say. Forgiveness isn't always a conversation. Sometimes it's just silence that doesn't hurt anymore. Claire saw the message pop up. I didn't hide it. She looked at me and said, "You okay?" I said, "Yeah. I really am." And I meant it. I wasn't waiting anymore. I wasn't chasing some old version of myself or trying to outrun guilt. I was here. With her. Fully present in a life I didn't think I'd ever deserve again. The thing about heartbreak, it doesn't end with one clean cut. It's 1,000 paper-thin slices you don't feel until you bleed out. But healing? It's just as slow. It's coffee in the morning before either of you speak. It's her hand on your back when you wake from a bad dream. It's folding laundry together and knowing neither of you is going anywhere. One night, I told Claire I loved her. Not the desperate "please don't leave" kind. Just steady. Certain. She didn't say it back right away. She just kissed me. Whispered, "I know." And I swear, I felt something in me finally settle. People think stories end with a wedding, a breakup, a dramatic final moment. But real life just keeps going. Claire and I never had a wedding. We didn't need one. We bought a house with chipped paint and a crooked fence, the kind she always pointed out on walks. We fixed it up ourselves badly, but with a lot of laughing. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. We didn't talk about Sophie much. Sometimes she'd come up offhand in passing like a storm that's moved on. I didn't miss her. I missed who I thought I was supposed to be with her. There's a difference. Claire met my mom. They liked each other more than I expected. Claire said she saw where I got my stubborn streak. My mom said Claire had the kind of eyes that don't lie. I never reached out to Sophie again. She didn't either. That one text was the last thread, and I let it go. We got older. That's how time works. Claire's hair went silver before mine. She didn't dye it. Said she earned every streak. I changed jobs once. Less travel, more evenings at home. Started cooking. Badly at first. She ate every mess like it was gourmet. Every anniversary, we didn't go out. We just stayed in. Made pancakes. Read books on the couch. She'd draw sometimes, show me sketches of things I never noticed in our everyday life. My hands tying shoelaces, our dog sleeping with one eye open, the curve of my back when I leaned over the sink. She said I had a quiet face. I never knew what that meant, but I liked it. We didn't have kids. Talked about it once. Then never again. Life didn't feel like it was missing anything. When she got sick, it wasn't dramatic. Just slow. Like everything else with her. Graceful even in that. I took care of her. She let me. The day before she passed, she told me, "You stayed." And I did. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't chasing anything. I wasn't waiting for someone to come back or trying to prove I was enough. I was just there. With her. Living the life that came after everything fell apart. It wasn't a grand story. But it was mine. And that made all the difference.